I want to talk about your meditation practice and what that looks like today.
Sure, man. I'm glad that you asked this question actually, because I have a variety of meditations, and some people really disagree with what I consider meditation in the first place. Meditation is the traditional image that invokes in most people's minds: the sitting up, the breathing, the eyes closed, the staying still, lotus position, the whole 9 yards. That is meditation. That is not all meditation is. And I think if you confine your idea of what meditation actually is, you confine what you are able to do within the world. When you expand your perception and idea of what meditation is, possibility opens up to you in a way that you never could have even thought or imagined, right? I'm still surprised by it every single day. I have a multitude of meditative practices that are applied depending on what it is that I'm doing, okay? For example, I consider the gym very much a meditation, right? I walk in there and it's a temple. I use music as a meditation for a multitude of different things when it comes to the gym, when it comes to my deep work that I'm doing, and I'll get into the specifics of this in a little bit. I do the traditional style of meditation, either sitting or laying down, focusing in on my breath, no external, feedback or noise or anything. But I think before I begin to expand on certain practices and how to practice them and why they're beneficial, I want to make sure to note for your listeners, meditation is so many more things than what you think it is. And when you begin to understand that, and I would even extend it beyond even a multitude of ways, but when you recognize that everything that you can do in some degree can be a meditation, that's game-changing in life, hugely game-changing in life. Now to specific uses in regards to meditation, okay? Let's talk about 3. Okay, I'll give you 3 that I fall back on very commonly. First, I tend to spend my summers in northern part of the United States, and it gets cold up there, right? And I say I spend my summers. Sometimes I'm there in my winters, right? Predominantly my summers. I have access to a sauna up there. One of my favorite things to do and favorite forms of meditation is I will go into the sauna and then I will light a candle and I will practice what is called Tritaka meditation. And this is where you stare at the candle flame and you focus on it, and that's it. That's the whole thing. And obviously you engage your breath in the way that you do when you meditate. You can blink. I'll recommend this meditation to followers or clients, and they'll be like, well, I tried to focus and I could only do it for so long because I had to blink. And I'm like, no, you can blink. Like, you just don't try to make your eyes bleed from this. You can blink. But I utilize this with the intention of enhancing my focus and my ability to focus, because here's the way that I translate it. First and foremost, it's just really cool to do in the sauna because the heat of the sauna just adds kind of a whole other element to the breathing and staring. And I've had some unbelievable experiences through this meditation. The way that I describe it is there are thoughts that you have, and then you know that they come from you. And then there are thoughts that you have, and it feels like they come through you. Where they come from, who can really say, right? They're in you, but they're not from you, they're through you. I'm assuming you can relate to that sentiment.
100%. I've talked to Gay Hendricks, and he says downloads from nature, like, is the best way to describe it.
Yes, it's exactly is a perfect analogy for it, a perfect way to put it, right? So this is the way that I think about it. Okay, I am an entrepreneur, right? Entrepreneurship requires me to be highly engaged and focused. I am constantly battling a world that does not want me to be highly engaged and focused, because the phone, this little monolith in my pocket, wants to constantly take my attention away, and it makes it incredibly easy to do, right? And so how do I sharpen my ability to pay attention and maintain my ability to pay attention? Stare at a candle flame for 20 minutes and get good at it and comfortable with it. And then when I actually sit down to do deep work and I recognize how that state feels internally when I'm in that meditation, I can click into that. Mm-hmm. And this is when I talk about flow, right? entering the flow state is a skill, and you can learn to reduce the friction between not being in and being in. And I recognize this form of meditation as a practice for sharpening your ability to access flow, right? By the way, I have resources on all of these methods that I'm going to be explaining to you. If you want me to share it with you so you can give links to your listeners, 100% down to do that. Because obviously there's people that are much more expert level on these practices than I am and can probably explain it a little bit more simply and clearly than I can. And I'll happily provide those for you so you can give that to your listeners. So that's one form of meditation that I love, okay? Another form of meditation that I absolutely love is here in Tulum. I love riding my bike because it's beautiful here. It's beautiful. And so every time I go outside, I'm invigorated with this sense of wonder. I just feel so much gratitude for being where I'm at, for the climate. And that is highly conducive to subconscious programming in a beneficial way. So one thing I love to do is I will put on my headphones, kind of like the ones that you have on right now, over the ear, wireless, banging headphones. I love them so much. But I'll put them on, and then I'll put on some form of affirmation video or double induction video. And for those who may not understand what that is, it's double speak. So it's like I am XYZ, and then before they finish that first sentence, then immediately I am this statement comes. So they overlap with each other. And the reason that is beneficial is because it bypasses a lot of the conscious processing and goes straight to the subconscious mind, right? I'll listen to these types of affirmation videos, or I'll put on just some really emotionally driving music while moving through my own affirmations. And I recognize that through the state of gratitude, through the state of wonder, through the state of just love for being alive, and then combining that with beneficial affirmation, beneficial programming, beneficial language that can internalize into my subconscious, I'm creating a prime landscape from which to grow greater thoughts, greater feelings that lead to better action, right? So that's another form of meditation that I absolutely love. And then the third form of meditation that I'm going to talk about is actually the process of taking what is otherwise perceived as negative emotion, sadness, anger, frustration, anxiety, stress, all of these feelings that we're all familiar with and that most of us deal with in a reactionary sense. This form of meditation allows you to respond to those emotions and utilize them in a way that is beneficial for you. Whenever I feel angry or frustrated or anxious, I will go hypno mode at the gym, right? And I allow all of that tension in my body energetically to move through my being into the weights. And that ultimately benefits me, not only my physical health in the long term, but my mental and emotional state in the short term, right? And I use the same kind of practice. I'll usually loop like 3 songs in the gym and just let them become kind of like just this hypnotic, I guess you could say, rhythms. And I just allow myself to just kind of get lost in that, right? I think this is part of the reason that so many spiritual traditions incorporate, drums and rattles and music and sound in their practices and their tradition, because it's one of the most powerful ways in which to bring yourself into a state of, I guess you could say, singular awareness, right?